I would like to know about resistances from Microsoft teams to these adapted processes of hiring and the ways Microsoft HR teams have addressed them. You are describing a challenge that implies a change in organizational culture, and there is always resistances in a change process.
Certainly, yes. I'm happy to speak to that. And when we started to launch this program, we were getting questions from the business in terms of, well, how are these individuals going to show up? And should I be looking at them differently? And should I be treating them differently and assessing them differently? And we were saying, absolutely not. Regardless, we are assessing any hire for Microsoft needs to have the core capabilities to do the job. And that's what we're looking for. What we're going to learn out of this program is some people may need support and resources differently. And for example, I think Sharon used the perfect example of there may be individuals that don't want to attend a stand-up meeting in the morning and speak when called on, but they will use a chat function to provide their questions and comments. And so it was really trying to level set to say, we are not looking for a different skill set. We are still looking for the qualifications that we need for a role. We are just looking at a huge talent pool and a huge gap in our market that our job descriptions and our interview process is preventing us from even seeing these candidates. And so it didn't happen overnight. I would say it definitely, was a process and a journey, and about how do I evaluate them? What about performance reviews? What about, when it comes to promotions? And we were saying, we are core and common across talent levels and assessments. There's no difference here. What it is it may just be we're looking at some different accommodations for the individual, or they work differently than how somebody else on your team does. So definitely took some time.
And did you provide any training to the hiring committee or future supervisor regarding neurodiversity?
Yes, so we definitely did. We took, I would say, like a three-pronged approach for this. And so, I'd like to start by saying there is many organizations and companies that already have a large neurodiverse population that works for them that you are probably not even aware of, because people are not necessarily very comfortable coming forward and disclosing. And so we took kind of the first approach of, as Microsoft likes to pride ourselves on being a diverse and inclusive company, we wanted to do some overall kind of level setting for our entire population. And so we brought in a gentleman who is very well known in his research and his practice in this area, and his name was Dr. Warling. And so he came in and kind of gave a general overview and training to our site about autism and the workplace and some of the challenges and what employers can be doing and thinking about. And so that was a general training offered to every single person at our site to just get some knowledge and ask some questions. Then I would say, so following the general training sessions, the other things we did is obviously the teams that were hiring into this program, they were aware that candidates were coming through this specific program. So a little bit different than our general process where there could be a neurodiverse employee that's requested an accommodation. The hiring manager may not necessarily know what it was, but we were able to work with them to say, again, these are some things that might show up during the interview: nerves, shutting down, disengaging, perhaps wanting to leave early, or just being paralyzed and not able to speak. And so we kind of just said to them, take a different approach than you typically do. You shouldn't be in there to try to break them or to try to make sure that you can give them a problem that they're not able to solve. This is not what we're trying to get at here. So start thinking differently. So that was kind of what we did for the hiring managers. And then once we obviously had our candidates that were successful that we hired, we did a very small training and awareness with the immediate team these individuals would be working with. Like I said at the beginning, and I want to keep reminding, we were able to do this because the participants had applied into this program. They knew that they knew all these steps along the process, that we would be doing some education to their teams, where we said, you're going to have a new person that's starting on your team. And we had asked them, like, are there ways you work differently? Is there anything you would like us to cover with your team? To just say, hey, X employee is going to be starting in 2 weeks, and they might work differently than what you're used to seeing. And so if they don't, want to attend in-person stand-ups, but utilize the Teams function, that's going to be how they work. And so we would say, ask questions if you need to, but also let them share and disclose with you what they want. And then I would say the last thing that we did for training is we provided a few layers of support for both the new employees that were coming in as well as the manager. And so Microsoft has, and I'm sure as many other organizations do, various employee resource groups. And so we made sure that these employees were connected into our broader employee resource groups. We also provided them with a job coach, and the job coach specialized for people that were neurodiverse. And so they had a person that they were able to speak to that wasn't HR, that wasn't their manager, that wasn't directly giving them an assessment if they were unblocked, or to get them unblocked, or if they had questions about, hey, I'm really struggling with this with my manager, but I don't know how to bring it up. And so we provided a job coach to them and also to the managers as well, because this could be the first time some of the managers were managing employees that had different needs. And so I think kind of a combination of all three of those is what helped us make sure that the teams and the managers felt at least equipped to support these individuals. So hopefully that helped answer that question.